Early evening, everybody, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. Glad you found us. Hope everything is going well out in the world today. It is Monday, April 12th. Lots going on. I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to try and keep it short today. Tomorrow there is a hearing, a Senate hearing, Banking and Finance Committee that Elizabeth Warren is on. So I would urge you to watch this hearing. You can Google it. Key point with Elizabeth Warren, folks, we successfully got her to bring bankruptcy into her presidential campaign. In fact, we were able to get her to pledge that on day one as president, if she had won the nomination, she would issue an executive order calling on the Department of Education and its contractors to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court, in addition to urging Congress to pass legislation that returns bankruptcy protections to all student loans. So good for us. We were able to get that done. Since the election, however, I have to say, and obviously she didn't win the nomination, so she's not president, but Joe Biden did supposedly endorse her bankruptcy plan. So we never got that executive order on day one from Biden. So his trustworthiness is down by quite a few notches in our book right now, just because of that, but because of other reasons as well. But so this hearing is happening tomorrow. Now, folks, the huge fear that I have is that we're going to see some lame, partial, sounds good, but actually is meaningless loan cancellation from the Democrats or Joe Biden or whoever. And they will do this lame, partial, almost meaningless loan cancellation as a cheap substitute for returning bankruptcy protections to student loans. We got tricked by this 13 years ago when the Democrats won the House and the Senate and the presidency before. We got public service loan forgiveness instead of the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. We got income-based repayment instead of bankruptcy protections. Well, how did that work out? I knew it wasn't going to work, and for the past 10 years or more, I was saying these programs are going to be run into the ground by a Department of Education that has no desire or intentions of actually canceling any loans. So we got fooled by that once. We will not be fooled by it twice. So what I am going to be watching for in that hearing tomorrow is what Elizabeth says, or what she, maybe more importantly, doesn't say about returning bankruptcy protections to student loans. I would urge you, if you care at all about getting your loans canceled, or even more moderately, getting bankruptcy protections returned to loans, I would urge you strongly to contact the Elizabeth Warren camp tonight or tomorrow before the hearing and tell them in no uncertain terms that we are expecting her to bring up bankruptcy in these hearings. Whether you like or hate bankruptcy, guys, it is the key to everything. It is the difference between getting a fake loan cancellation and a real loan cancellation. So, and if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. By the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out now. I'm happy to respond to any and all. In the few minutes that I'm here tonight, I'm going to try and keep this short, hopefully less than 10 minutes. So what else is going on? Okay, right now, today, and in fact last week, we are now doing a Twitter storm. I hate Twitter, but whatever. We're doing a Twitter storm, and I hope that you will play along with it. We are tweeting to the governors of all of the states. It's actually 18 states, by the way. It's not 19, but shh, don't say anything. I miscounted. The 18 states who owe more than their entire state budget in student loan debt. We're tweeting to the governors and the governors' spouses. And basically we're saying, how could you let this happen to your state? Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, and his wife. Ron DeSantis of Florida and his wife. Governor of Texas, governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey, governor of Indiana, governor of Tennessee, and North South Carolina, Illinois, New Hampshire, Colorado, many other places. So please join us on that. I really think, and most of these governors that I mentioned are Republican, by the way. So getting even one of these Republican governors to stand up and say, Mr. President, enough. Like, particularly Brian Kemp. Our entire state budget here in Georgia, I'm saying if I was the governor, Brian Kemp, I would say, Mr. Biden, enough. Cancel these loans entirely. Our Georgia's state budget is $48 billion. Our citizens owe $82 billion in student loan debt, most of it federal student loan debt. Mr. President, cancel these loans and return bankruptcy protections to all of the loans that you cannot cancel administratively. So join us on that. If you look up or down on our Facebook group, you will see a list of Twitter handles for governors and their wives. So look around, find it, do it, guys. The only way this problem is going to get solved is when you sitting there help us. If you're expecting one guy or maybe, I don't know, on any given day, maybe a couple hundred people are doing anything on this group, if you're expecting those very few people to pull your weight for you, you're going to be waiting a very long time. Mark my words. We've been doing this for 16 years now, folks, and I know what works. And what works is when you sitting there, when everybody on this group owns up to this problem, takes some responsibility, and helps us fight. When you don't do that, nothing happens. Don't be that guy. Don't be the lazy guy that causes the entire nation to be conquered and enslaved by this debt because of your laziness. Don't do that. Help us fight. It's not hard. It doesn't even take a whole lot of time. You know, you could send a Twitter to all 18 governors and their spouses in probably around 7 minutes is what I found it took. So we're not talking about a huge amount of time or effort, but you can't do nothing. So, and if you do nothing, shame on you. You know, I know a lot of people go, oh, Jack, I hate Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia. I hate that guy. He'll never help us. And they use that as an excuse for doing nothing. Well, that's bullshit. That's not an excuse. I'm not buying it. Your cynicism is not an excuse for apathy. And if you find yourself going, oh, it'll never work, well, then get off of our group. We don't want you here. We don't want your attitude here. We don't want your unconstructive, lazy, apathetic cynicism to hold us back. So just go. Just go now. We don't want you here. If you're willing to do the tiny amount of work that's necessary, you'll find that it's actually kind of fun. You know, convincing a radio station or a news station to do a story, for instance, on the fact that 18 states owe more than their entire state budgets in student loan debt, it feels good. It feels good to get that accomplished. It feels good to argue with our, I'm going to say, intellectually challenged critics who go, pay your loans, you deadbeat. You just want to get out of your debt. It is fun to convince people like that of our argument. It is good to have those people saying, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I apologize to you, sir. It is good to have those conversations. And, you know, every honest debate I have ever had with one of the naysayers, 100% of the time, they wind up, maybe not apologizing, but they may wind up changing their mind. And that is so important, guys. The biggest obstacle we have right now are the knee-jerk people who they think student loans and they think Fort Lauderdale, college students, or they think, I never went to college. I get bossed around by some kid younger than me who went to college. I hate college students. We've got to make these people see the big picture. And by wagging their fingers at us, they are actually propping up, defending, and perpetuating the worst big government, college feeding, maybe even communist bringing lending scam in the history of this country. So I say that because conservatives hate the colleges. They hate the government. They think the colleges are turning the country communist. Now, we take no position on stuff like that. But the people opposing us, that is what they think. And by wagging their fingers at us, whether they know it or not, they're actually being useful idiots for the colleges and the government that they claim to despise. So point that out early and often. And if they are honest people willing to have an honest engagement, they will come around. They do, 100% of the time. Trust me on that. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, you have to help us fight. We've got 992,000 signatures on the petition right now. Last week, we were featured at Yahoo News, Business Insider. We were interviewed by Fox Radio. We've got a bunch of interviews planned for this week. But we need more, guys, because right now, the only states that I'm aware of where our report about those 18 states who owe more than their state budget and student loan debt, I've only seen a piece come out in Texas, and that was kind of a small publication in San Antonio. Only like a couple others, and like not even in states that where that is occurring. So, dudes, we have a lot of work to do with local media in Texas, in Indiana, in Georgia, North South Carolina, all those states that I mentioned. I will paste the link to our report below this, or maybe above this thing in the comments. Send that link to media, maybe ideally media in the states that I'm talking about, but any media is great. National media, that's okay too. But get it out there, because nobody's going to spread this word unless you do. So please, just do that. Oh gosh, I've gone over 10 minutes now, guys. I'm going to cut it short on this fine Monday. I hope that you all are thrilled. We are in a far better position today than we were a year ago. When, remember, a year ago, we probably only had 35, 50, maybe 100,000 signatures on our petition. It was nowhere. Nobody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order, where it's the top of the news today. Very few people were even talking about bankruptcy, where by election day, Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren had made it very prominent in their campaigns. So what matters, folks, is how hard we push. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I'm doing everything I can. You know, Ed, our other state chapter leaders, they're doing everything they can. You've got to pull your weight as an individual. And to those of you who are doing that, I salute you. Let me just say, I hope you are thrilled. I'm getting a little bit impressed about all that we've been able to accomplish over the past year. But guys, we can't, the 200 or 300 people who are doing stuff, they can't do it on their own. We need you, and you need us, by the way. So just keep that in mind. We know the path to get these loans gone. There's a good outcome and there's a really bad outcome. We know the path to that good outcome, where the loans get canceled, hopefully quickly, and in a very good way that stimulates the economy and turns us into happy people. And there's also a bad way, where there's a very painful, dystopian unwinding of these loans that could get very messy, even civilly unrestful. We don't want to go down that path. We want to go down the good path. We know what that path is, and that's the path that we're on, but you have to help. So putting a thing in with Elizabeth Warren right now to tell her to bring up bankruptcy in the hearings tomorrow is very important. If you go to, I think, warren.senate.gov, you can see the contact information for her. So that's basically it, guys. The very last thing I will say is, if you can donate at this time, it would be very helpful. We survive only and totally on very moderate donations from people like you. We don't do deals with bad guys. We don't sell our stuff. We don't do. The only place we get money from is normal people who are screwed on their student loans. That's pretty tough. We've managed to eke by on a less than a shoestring, sort of bumping along the bottom financially. But we can do it on very little, but we cannot do it on nothing. So please go to our website, studentloanjustice.org/support, and throw something in if you can. Okay, folks. Well, that's it for today. I'm getting pretty excited. Looking forward to tomorrow. Just remember everything I said, guys. This is our fight. Your loans, your problem. Got to help. So good luck. Let's get this done. Godspeed. God bless everybody.